This is Math 95, Quiz 1. This is the ALEKS topic. Solving a fraction word problem using a linear equation with the variable on both sides. Here's our first example. Jeff's gas tank is 1/5 full. After he buys 14 gallons of gas, it is 7/10 full. How many gallons can Jeff's tank hold? As always, we want to ask ourselves, what are we looking for in this problem? That last question gives it to us. How many gallons can Jeff's tank hold? So in this case, our variable will be G. Let G equal gallons Jeff's tank holds. Okay, and so it looks like his gas tank starts 1/5 full. Well, 1/5 full means it only has 1/5 of the gallons that it could be holding. And so right now it's starting at 1/5 of G. So 1/5 multiplied by the total number of gallons that could be in there. All right, and then it says after he buys 14 gallons of gas. So if he buys gas, that's going to add to the gallons that are in the tank. So it's starting with 1/5 of the gallons. We're adding 14 more gallons. And then it says now it is 7/10 full. So after doing this addition, it should now have 7/10 of the total number of gallons that it could hold. So it starts with 1/5 of the gallons, we add 14 more gallons, and now the gas tank has 7/10 of the gallons that it could hold. So to solve this, we want to get both variables on the same side of our equation. It would be easiest to do that by subtracting the 1/5 G on the left side. So subtract the 1/5 G. It looks like we need to find a common denominator before we can actually do that subtraction. So I noticed that 5 and 10 would both go into the number 10. And so I really only need to change this 1/5. So how many tenths would that be? Well, it takes 2 5s to make 10, so it would be 2/10 G. So I'm actually subtracting 7/10 G minus 2/10 G, which would be 5/10 G over here on this right side. And I still have the 14 on the left side. Okay, anytime you have just a fraction multiplied by the variable and you want the variable to be alone, we can do that by multiplying by the reciprocal of that fraction. So the reciprocal is when you turn it upside down. So I can multiply both sides by 10 over 5 to get rid of the 5/10. All right, on the right side, this would be 5 times 10, or 50, over 10 times 5, 50. So 50 over 50 is 1. So 1G is just G. On the left-hand side, really I need to put this 14 over a 1. So anytime you have a whole number, you can put it over a 1. And then we multiply the numerators. 10 times 14 is 140. And then multiply the denominators. 5 times 1 is 5. And 140 divided by 5 would be 28. So that tells us that the tank holds 28 gallons of gas. So that's our first example. Okay, a second example has a container that holds water for the softball team. And that container is 3/4 full. After the players drink 15 gallons of the water, the container is now 1/3 full. So how many gallons can the container hold? Again, we look in that last sentence as a clue to our variable. How many gallons can the container hold? So in this case, we let G equal gallons that water container holds. And let's think about how it started and what happened to it and how it ended up. So it starts off being 3/4 full. In other words, it's holding 3/4 of the gallons that it could hold. In math, of means to multiply. So it's holding 3/4 of the gallons, so 3/4 times the G is what we're starting with. And then the players drink 15 of those gallons. So that's going to drain out of the container, making it less. And so we need to subtract those 15 gallons. And now what do we have left? It says the container is 1/3 full. So it contains 1/3 of, or times, the gallons that it could hold. Okay, so I'm going to move this 3/4 G to the other side of the equation. Notice that that will leave me with a negative 15, and that's okay because I actually will probably be getting a negative on that right-hand side as well. So let's subtract the 3/4 G from both sides. Okay, that would leave me with negative 15 on the left-hand side. On the right side, we have two different denominators, and we have to have common denominators before we can subtract those fractions. So 3 doesn't go into 4, so we're looking for some number that both 3 and 4 go into easily. And I can think of 12 would be a great common denominator for those. And so I want 12 to be my new denominator in each of these cases. And so 3 goes into 12 4 times. So I'm multiplying that denominator by 4, which means I have to multiply the numerator by 4 also. So that would give me 4/12 for that top fraction, or 4/12 G. For this lower fraction, 4 goes into 12 3 times. So I'm going to have to multiply that 4 times 3, which means I have to multiply by 3 in the numerator as well, which would be 9. 9/12 G. So if I subtract 4/12 G minus 9/12 G, I will get a negative 5/12 G. Okay, just like before, we want to get our G alone, and so I can multiply by the reciprocal of that negative 5/12. So I'm going to be multiplying this by negative 12/5, and this negative 15 also by negative 12/5. On the right-hand side, this will cancel our fractions, leaving just the G. On the left-hand side, I can put my negative 15/1. And then negative 12 times negative 15 makes a positive 180. And 5 times 1 is 5. And so if we divide 180 by 5, that would give us 36 is the number of gallons that the container holds. And that's it.